Good morning. This is the second lesson, so this is for Friday. And we're going to go back and review some more about complex numbers and just simplifying radicals. So we did that on the first day, so we're going to review some of these radicals. So some of these are very easy, and you can just go ahead and remember what they are, or you can put them in your calculator. So the square root of 25 is 5, and the square root of 36 is 6. But when we get down to the square root of 50, we got to use another little tool. So here's the method that we use. All right, I'm going to make a list of perfect squares. You should have this list also. All right, so step one, we're going to take this number and we're going to divide it by 2. Okay, so we're going to start some division. So start dividing. What we're looking for is a perfect square. Okay, so we're looking for a perfect square factor. Look for a square factor. So if you do this, let's go put this in our calculator. All right, clear out what I got. All right, so our number that we're using is 50. So let's put that in our calculator. We just say 50. I'm going to start by dividing by 2, and hopefully I get a perfect square. I do. I get 25. If I look on my list and I see 25 is a perfect square. All right, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to rewrite as your factors, okay? But now they're going to be under the square root, okay? So instead of the square root of 50, we're going to write the square root of 25, and the other factor that we found it to have was 2. Go back and look. You've got 25 and you've got 2 that make 50. All right, so next thing we're going to do, we're just going to simplify if you can. And usually you're just going to simplify the square. And you're going to leave the prime number alone. So the square root of 25, you don't remember, put in your calculator, it's just 5. And in the same order, right to the right of it, we're going to write the square root of 2. That is our answer. We don't do anything more with that. So let's try a couple more. All right, so what do we do if we have a negative number? All right, so a negative number is going to give us, remember, this is a perfect square. Now this will go in your calculator and you get 5i. How do you get 5i? Well, remember, when you have a negative number, you're always going to bring out the I and then keep the positive 25. You can do that. All right, that negative means it's going to have an imaginary root. And then you can just go and figure out, well, what is the square root of whatever that is, if you can simplify it. Now, this one is a perfect square. Now, you can't necessarily keep it in the same order. You got I times 5. Well, that looks a little funny. So we write 5i. And there's your answer. Let's see what else I've got. Okay, we did these yesterday. I'm going to do them again. All right, these will go in your calculator, right? So you can do I square root of 49 if this works for you. And then remember, the square root of 49 is 7, so we just write 7i. Here you can do I square root of 64. And remember, the square root of 64 is 8, so we just do 8i. Now look at this one. We do I square root of 7. Now again, none of these numbers that I'm listing goes into 7. There's nothing you can do. So guess what? You're done. Don't turn that into rocket science. Let's see what else I've got. Okay, let's do some bigger numbers. So I've got the square root of negative 200. So we're going to go and think. All right, look at your list. See what you got that's going to go into 200. Now, we don't have to go and start looking for these numbers. We can just start dividing by 2. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to get all these in. And 100. I think that's as far as I can go with that. Unless I go further down, I do 121 and 169. Okay, so 200. Well, let's take 100 and put it in our calculator and divide it by 2. So let's clear that out. 100 divided by 2, and we get, oh, I'm sorry, I picked the wrong thing. I meant 200. And actually, let's do negative 200 because that's what we're dealing with. 200 and divide it by 2. Well, look, we get 100, okay? So we can rewrite that. So we're going to change that to square root of negative 100 times the square root of 2. Remember, I can come out, and that's the square root of 100. Look, I'm not changing the order of anything. Look, these are all just going straight down the line. Nobody's moving. All right, until I get to this point. So now I know that I've got to change this to a 10i because the square root of 100 is 10. Square root of 2. That's it. All right, let me erase that so we can see what we do next. Let me go over here and write that. 10i square root of 2. Try the next one. We're going to try 72. So 72 divided by 2 in your calculator. And you get, oh, we get 36. We're getting lucky that we're finding it with a 2. You don't normally find it with a 2. I'm going to have to find an example where it doesn't do it. All right, so we're going to do negative 36 times the square root of 2. Now, if you're really good at this, you know what the square root of negative 36 is by now. So you got 6i. That's done. And all you do is write the square root of 2. Don't change the sign. This is a multiplication sign. Don't change it to an addition. All right, let's try. I'm not going to do this one because these are getting a little boring because they're all 2s. I'm going to go do one that's got like a bigger number. Okay, so let's try the square root of negative, let me go, I got to go look at see what we've got. Square root of negative 48. Okay, so we're going to put that in our calculator and we're going to start looking for a square. So I've got 48 divided by 2. Well, it comes out to 24, but 24 is not a square if we look at our list. 25 is, but not 24. All right, let's try 48 divided by 3. 16. Is 16 a perfect square? Look at that. It is a perfect square. So we're going to write this as square root of negative 16 times the square root of 3, because that's the other number that we found, right? We found it divided by 3. All right, so square root of negative 16. This can go in your calculator. It's a perfect square. You get 4i. And then that's a times button, so we don't really have to write it. Square root of 3. That's all you do. All right, of course they get more complicated. Let's go into the ones that we were doing the other day. Okay, these are like the ones we were doing the other day. Now, I did these yesterday also, but we're going to do this again, okay? Whenever it's written as a binomial, you keep it in the same order. So we always write our whole number first, or our real number, sorry. And then forget about it. Just leave it alone. Put the plus sign there that was with it. Don't go back to that. Don't go back and try anything new. Just cross it out. You're done. All right, now we know there's a negative here, so we're going to have an I. All right, can you find a square that goes into 3? No, you cannot. So you're just going to have to leave it alone. That's your answer. All right, it doesn't work that way in your calculator. This one will work in your calculator, but I'm going to show you the way to do it without it. So again, you write your number down, 7. You write your sign down. Oop, that's not a plus, it's a minus. Okay, and then forget about them. Okay, and then the square root of 36. Well, 36 is a perfect square, so we just do the square root of 36, and we put an I on the end. That's the answer. All right, let me see if I can find something else for us to do. I know that some of them got harder. I'm going to go back and do number 13. All right, so I've got 6 minus square root of negative 28. This is a number we haven't done very much with. So I've got 6. Remember, we keep it alone. We write our minus sign, and we forget about it. And now we got to figure out a square that goes into 28. All right, so I've got all these numbers. 36. Okay, so I don't know. I'm going to go and I'm going to start dividing. All right, it's going to take a while. I'll just tell you that right now. 28 divided by 2. No, That's a 14. That's not a perfect square. Divided by 3. That's not even going to be a whole number. Oh, I didn't even put that in there right. Divided by 4. Now, you can see 4 is a square. Okay? That is probably going to be the answer. Okay? Let's try a little bit more. Divided by 6. Oh, I keep writing the wrong answers. 28 divided by 6. Back. Divided by 6. Nope, those are not going to work. 28 divided by 7. All right, again, we get a 4. So I'm going to say 4 is going to be the only square that goes in. So I've got square root of negative 4, right? And I'm only dealing with this part right now. This is times the square root of 7, because negative 4 times 7 is negative 28. Now you either bring down stuff or you simplify. Can't do anything with the 6, can't do anything with the negative. If you put this in your calculator, you can see square root of negative 4, 2i. Sorry, I'm wrong. 2i. All right, so we're done with that. We're done with that. Don't go back and write more stuff. And then the square root of 7. Because 7 is prime. There's nothing you can do with that. All right, so your assignment today is going to be none of this stuff. I'm going to write this down for you. All right, you're going to get back your practice 5.6. Okay, so that is page 66, I do believe, on that worksheet. All right, and I would like for you to do, this looks like a lot, but we need a lot of practice, and a lot of it can be done on the calculator. Number 26 through 66, the evens. All right, so it looks like a lot, but some of it can be done very simply on the calculator. All right, when is this due? Oh yeah, it is due today. So turn this in before you leave class today, and have a great weekend.